This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'm fired up about the topic that we have today. It is one of the video requests that I've received on one of the comments. Make sure that you guys send tons of video requests, guys, because I get fired up about them. Make sure you like this video as well. Let's get started. The comment that was given was, can you make a video about what the main distractions and obstacles are for men? In order to answer that question, we have to know what the end in mind is. Begin with the end in mind. The end in mind is for you to be filled with joy and happiness all of the time, and to have an attitude independent of circumstances, have no fears, no worries, and always be in the pursuit of a worthwhile goal. That's the end in mind. If you have the opportunity of getting there, you will be fired up outside your brain every single day for the rest of your life. Are you going to have problems along the way? For sure. But you're going to respond to it according to the attitude that's independent of circumstances, which makes it so that you are able to maneuver and adapt and be flexible and do whatever is necessary for you to win, no matter what happens to you. Okay, so as we get into it, how are we going to reverse engineer this? How do you get to the point where you have intense joy and happiness all of the time with an exponential growth curve that makes sure that that joy and happiness continues? You're going to have depth in human connections. Depth is what it's all about, guys. You cannot have shallow relationships or no relationships at all and be filled with joy and happiness. It's literally physically impossible. How do people get depressed? How do people have social anxiety? It's because there's no depth, and they didn't grow up with depth in human connection. If you've got those issues, depression and social anxiety, that means that there was a lot of dysfunctional things going on when you were growing up as part of your family. If you know that that's the case, you can actually work through it and get to the other side so that you're no longer depressed and have social anxiety. It takes work, it takes time, but eventually you will know how to create depth in human connections. The human connection which we want to have depth in is first and foremost our sexual romantic relationships. That is the most important aspect of our lives in order for us to have joy and happiness. Depth in human connection with our romantic sexual relationships. Critical. Okay, this is why it's so important to understand the woman. If you go through life not understanding the woman, you will end up living a life unlived. Literally. Okay, I know people who's going through that, and it's a very sad tale. Okay, so the other aspect is also having depth in the connection with your kids. You might not have kids right now, but in the future you will have kids, and you've got to prepare yourself for that mentally, emotionally, and financially so that you can actually raise up the next generation of leadership. You want your kids to be absolutely fantastic, but guess what? In order for them to become fantastic, you have to become fantastic. Women are a reflection of you, and so are your kids. Believing that your kids have their own free will and choice. They have their own agency. Yeah, really? It started with you. You are the one who sets in place their habitudes, their habits, and their attitudes. So you better believe that you've got to be prepared to have those kids. And the next one is the inner circle. This could be family, friends, and business associates. And hopefully you can actually manage to combine these a little bit, because the inner circle can't really be that big. Okay? Yes, we're going to go out and help 10,000s of people, 100,000s of people, millions of people. And then they're going to love us back. Okay? And desire to be part of our life and desire to help us in any way, shape, or form. However, to be part of the inner circle, that's where you want to have depth in your connection with them. Being able to have depth in connections with millions of people is really hard. It's going to be quite shallow. but you're going to be able to have depth in human connection with certain individuals in your life, and you've got to choose which ones they are. Over time, eventually, okay? And it's got to be established. How do we get to that point? Okay? How do we get to that depth that we're talking about right here? Okay, this is interesting. Capacity for consistency. Okay? In order for you to have depth in these human connections I've just explained, you've got to have capacity for consistency. Or both. Okay? What do I mean by that? I mean that if you are not able to have capacity, emotional capacity, mental capacity, and also resource capacity to spend time with your wonderful woman, with your kids, and with your inner circle, eventually they're not really going to be deep connections. Deep connections require investment. You've got to invest in them. And the biggest investment, the most valuable and scarce resource we have is time. Which means that we cannot invest our time on other stuff too much at the expense of these relationships. But at the same time, we also cannot neglect the other things in our lives that makes that capacity possible. So, okay, we're getting to the question that was in the beginning. Remember, the question was, what are the main distractions and obstacles in men's lives today? Okay, we're getting there, but we've got to understand the process and what we're actually moving towards. Okay, remember, it is joy and happiness all of the time, an attitude independent of circumstances. We move one back, and that is depth in human connections. We move one back, and that's capacity and consistency to actually create the depth and in those human connections. How do you get capacity and consistency in your life? Time and money freedom. You've got to have time and money freedom. What does time and money freedom allow you to do? Whatever you want, pretty much, okay? When you have time and money freedom, it allows you to educate yourself on any and all subjects that you desire to master. In order for you to have depth in understanding of the female psyche, in order for you to have depth and understanding in terms of parenting, in order for you to have depth of understanding of the people you love, and the depth of understanding of God and the universe and how all of this fits together and what the purpose of life is, you've got to have time and money. Yes, can you understand and learn these things without time and money? Yes, but you'll be thinking about money all of the time. And understand, people, money is literally worthless except for the things that it buys. Money is literally worthless except for the things that it buys. Poor people and middle-class people end up spending their entire lives chasing money. That's not what we're talking about here. On this channel, I tell you guys that number one is to establish your businesses, to establish your finances. Finances. Okay? That's what I tell you guys to do, but the reason why I do it is so that you can get it out of the way. Okay? Because if you don't get your financials out of the way, and I'm not talking about, okay, at one point, the financials just kind of start coming and pouring down on you when you've mastered it. But until you've mastered it, it doesn't come pouring all over the place passively towards you all the time. That's why it's the first focus. It's the thing that we think about the most now, in order for you to be able to focus on something else, in order for you to be able to focus on depth in human connection, in order for you to focus on all the other things that you would like your life to be like, and for you to serve other people, not because of the money that it's going to give you, because it's the right thing to do. You want to become massively powerful because the definition of power is the ability to do. Do you really want to be powerless? Do you really want to have the lack of ability to do? Do you want to come to an obstacle, a problem, and then people look up to you as the leader and you're like, I don't know what to do? No, you never want to be in that situation. You want to make sure that you have power all the time. Remember one time Henry Ford said, at the push of one button, I might not know everything, but at the push of one button, I can get hold of any person who has the knowledge that I need. Now see, that's power. You don't have to know it all, but you've got to have those buttons, those connections that allows people to help you out when you need their help, and then you help them when they need your help, okay? This is how it works. The whole fantastic system. Masculinity. So our goal is actually masculinity. When we get masculinity, we get the attitude independent of circumstances. When we get masculinity, we attract the feminine woman we desire. When we get masculinity, we actually can lead other people. And when we can lead other people, we actually feel comfortable around them and we actually love them more because we're masculine. We've got power. And then we can, because we've got power, we can now build other people up. It's usually the people that don't have power that try to kick people down. When you've got power, there's no need for you to kick other people down because you're comfortable. You're okay with yourself. You feel good. We're trying to go from femininity to masculinity. What's stopping us? What's the distractions? What are the obstacles that are stopping us from not being feminine, from us progressing towards masculinity? Okay? Remember what I've said about the comfort zone in the past. Inside your little puny little comfort zone, this is where you're masculine. This is where you're masculine. You're like, oh, I'm comfortable, but you're not comfortable because problems are coming on top of you and you become emotionally unstable. And it's like happening to you, which means that you're not masculine inside there, you're feminine. Okay, in order for you to expand your comfort zone and get towards masculinity, you have to, in the beginning, become more feminine. Okay, it gets worse before it gets better. When you take that first sales call, you're gonna be feminine because your emotions are gonna be all over the place. Okay, when you approach that first girl, what is gonna happen? You're gonna be massively feminine, uncomfortable, emotionally unstable, sweating, okay, drenching yourself because you're emotionally unstable. But if you do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again, consistency is key, then guess what? Eventually you become comfortable doing it and now you've developed power. Now you're becoming masculine. Man, it's amazing how it works. Okay, there's two main distractions and obstacles in men's lives. Those two distractions are, number one, instant gratification, and number two, knowing things that ain't so. Let me start with instant gratification. Instant gratification is feminine. Let me list all of the things. Okay, number one, women, get those out of your life. Okay, and let me explain what I mean by that. If you've got a massively long-term relationship that you never, ever, ever, ever want to lose her, she's yours forever, man. I want to be with her forever. Okay, then you've maybe found the right girl, okay? She's absolutely amazing. Then you're going to keep her and do whatever you can in order to grow your power while you have her. It's going to be really hard, by the way, but you've got to do it because you want to keep her, okay? Or if you're married, then obviously you're going to keep her. You're going to do everything in your power to keep her. Duh. But for those of you who have girlfriends that you're with, that you're not even, I've been with her for quite some time, but I'm not sure if she's the one, get rid of her. Okay? Now, it might sound horrible to say, but let me just put it straight to you. It is better that you dump one woman and then end up creating a massive foundation for yourself that allows you to help millions and millions and millions and millions of people than you being stuck with this one girl that you thought was going to be absolutely amazing, and then 10 years from now it's not as amazing anymore. Okay, like, do you understand what I mean? Like, you want to set yourself up for success now and build your financial foundation. Okay, so be wise about it, of course, and you know, start coaching with me to find out what you should really do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to be able to give you the guidelines so that you can make correct decisions based upon what you want long term. Okay, so that's number one. Get out. Just be celibate for a while, guys. To be celibate for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years while you're establishing your foundation is absolutely fantastic. And to be honest with you, I wish I had done that in the beginning as I came home from Africa when I was 21 years old. I should have just massively built up my foundation. Be grateful that you guys are single. Okay, for those of us who have wives and girlfriends that we hold on to because it is what it is, we have it harder than you. They're massive distractions, massive problems, massive issues. Okay, but when you've got the foundation set up, when you've got an attitude independence of circumstances and you understand the female psyche, things become a lot more beautiful. And it is truly the greatest joy and the greatest happiness that you'll ever get. It's the depth from that sexual romantic relationship. So, not talking about women anymore, man, even though I'm going to make more videos about it because you guys don't seem to get it yet, and that's okay. But seriously, man, women, get out of it and stop chasing them. It's a bad idea until you've got the financial means ready to do so. And okay, remember Jim Rohn, what he said? Set the goal of $1 million, not because of the $1 million, but because of who you become in that process. Who you become. Women are a reflection of you. If they suck, that means you suck. So become 10x of yourself, and suddenly you will have 10x girls in your life. Okay? All right, next thing is stimulants. Once you no longer have women as a distraction, and you've chosen to live celibately because you want to establish your strong foundation, suddenly stimulants get out of they're thrown out together with the bathwater, as I say. You don't need to party if you're not chasing girls. There's no drugs, there's no alcohol, there's no all these instant gratification stuff. You're getting rid of all of that at the same time, which is preserving your health, is making you more fired up every single day because you don't have the ups and downs of emotional instability. You're getting rid of it. Oh man, it's so beautiful. I love this stuff. The long-term gratification, okay, delayed gratification as it's called, is getting as fast as possible to the attitude independent of circumstances, joy and happiness all of the time. Number one thing to start with is semen retention. Once you've got semen retention, you don't really need women as much as you did before. You're not desperate and needy as you always used to be. Semen retention, guys, it's amazing what it does to you. And it sets up better habits in every single area of your life and is making you more disciplined and masculine every single day. And the last thing that I wanted to say was Mark Twain's quote, which is, "The problem with people is not the fact that they know too little. The problem is that they know so many things that ain't so." So many of you, including myself sometimes, we know so many things that ain't so. The definition for truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. It's basically that which empowers you. If it disempowers you, it cannot be true, because you're supposed to be empowered. You're supposed to be allowed to gain power and the ability to do, because it allows you to serve other people. It allows you to create and to become. That's what it's all about in this life. And anything else that tells you that, no, you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to do that, and you're not supposed to do this, it might be disempowering you. What is it that empowers you for the long run? It empowers you long term. I developed a concept the other day, which basically like anything that you can do on a daily basis without it actually affecting you, or it actually becomes better and better and better over time, like your health and your attitude and everything about you becomes better, then it probably works. But if you're doing something that actually over time exponentially creates a decline, if you did it every single day, no matter what, it's probably very bad for you. So think about that in terms of the things that you put inside your body and the other habits that you have in your life. Those are the main distractions and obstacles in your guys' lives. This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you in the next video.